So recently, I've been seeing a lot of ads for services like Factor and HelloFresh and some other ones. I mean, I'm not going to name all of them, there's so many of them, but I decided why not give one a try and see if they're even worth talking about, if they're even worth getting, if the meals are any good, if they're even worth tasting. And I mean, pretty much all of them have promo codes, so it didn't really matter which one I chose as I was going to get a discount on any one. So for some reason I chose Factor. It also helps that they for some reason sent me something in the mail and I used that coupon just to get it anyway. So I guess good on them for breaking through my defenses and getting me to order Factor. Now the promo code was like 50% off and I'm pretty sure you would have gotten that anyway for being a first time customer by just going to their website. So I don't think that actually made a difference. But either way, the discounted price at the end ended up being like $58. So that was actually a pretty decent price for 8 meals and 2 snacks. Now, the only question left to ask is, of course, is it any good? Is it even worth eating? Are the snacks delicious? Are the meals delicious? And are they nutritious? I don't know about that last one, but we're going to find out what I think about them, basically. The first meal that I tried was the Chorizo Ranchero skillet with Mexican spiced sweet potatoes, black beans, and mixed vegetables. And yes, I'm sure that I pronounced something wrong in there, probably ranchero, and I'm just gonna keep saying it like that. So I took the meal out and I just wanted to give it a look before I heated it up. So I just looked at it through the plastic, and I gotta say, it didn't really look that good, and I'm not really sure what I expected it to look like, but it basically looked like what I expected it to, just a frozen meal, just not frozen. And then I went to follow the instructions and pierce the film in the center with a fork, but somehow I managed to mess that up and forget about the instructions and took a knife and then just decided to cut a hole in the middle of the bigger compartment because for some reason, that's what I thought it was talking about at that very second. But later on, I did cut another hole in the other compartment so that way it would heat up properly. But yeah, I basically messed up the instructions right away. Once it was done cooking, I took it out and it smelled pretty good. It actually was really good smell. I mean, it didn't look very good. It kind of looked like somebody already ate it and then spat it back up, but it smelt good at least. So there was only one thing left to do, and that was the taste test. And I decided to give it a good old taste. And to my surprise, well, not really, because it smelt good, so it should taste good, right? And it did. It tasted kind of good. I mean, it wasn't the best, but it tasted good. Honestly, the only thing I could have done without was the mixed vegetables on the side. I mean, ignore those and ignore the fact that the compartment was only half full. In fact, drop the mixed vegetables, add a tortilla in there, and I think it would have been much better. Just eat the first part with the tortilla, fill it up, and it would have been so good. Either way, I give this meal a 6.5 out of 10. Now, next I had one of these snacks because I thought, why not eat one of the snacks on the first day and then the other snack somewhere in between? So I got the peanut butter bites out and I decided to give it a taste. And I gotta say, this is probably where I'll be the most biased because I don't like brownies, and this is basically like small bite-sized brownies. I mean, they kind of taste like peanut butter brownies and they feel like brownies. Everything about it is like a brownie, and I really hate brownies, so I'm very biased, but I didn't like these at all, and I would give them a would not eat out of 10. But hey, if you like peanut butter brownies, you'll probably enjoy these, to be honest. The second meal that I had was spicy Southwestern style turkey and mac with roasted zucchini, corn, and poblano peppers. And I don't know why I kind of did this with all meals, but I took a look at it before heating it up, so this is what it looked like in the container if you were curious. Yeah, it didn't look that good, it kind of looked like a mess, but I guess they all do until you cook them. Well, actually, you're not cooking them, you're just warming them up, but still. And so I cooked this one, and the best way I have to describe it is to just quote Gordon Ramsay.
Looks like a plate of diarrhea. Yeah, chef.
I mean, the mac and cheese part didn't look that great, but the other part actually looked that great. But I tasted it, and it definitely tastes better than it looks, but still not that great. I mean, honestly, it was just a little bit bland, if anything. Like, it didn't have a bad taste. It was just kind of a bit bland. And this is probably the one time I would say I was actually more excited about the vegetables than the other food on the plate. I also do not know what this is. It was in the vegetables. I assume it's a burnt piece of something, but I have no idea what it is. If anyone knows what this is, please let me know, because I have no idea and I was not willing to taste it, so I just squished it. Either way, I give this meal like a 3 out of 10. I mean, it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it really wasn't that great. It was kind of bland, and it had whatever that burnt piece of something, or to be honest, I think it was burnt. I'm not even sure at this point, but 3 out of 10. That's what I give it. 3 out of 10. The third meal that I ate, and this is basically the third day too, so every meal is a new day, but the next meal that I had was the herb ricotta and beef ragu with roasted Parmesan walnuts and zucchini noodles. And as always, for some reason, I wanted to just get a good look at it before I warmed it up, and it looked like crap. I mean, literally. But I mean, I'm not even judging it at this point, because let's be honest here, most of these meals, they don't look good until you warm them up. So let's not judge them based on looks until they're warmed up. I just like to take a look at it. Okay, that's just the me thing. This one also required a good stirring, so I stirred it until I couldn't stir no more. Now, I gotta be honest, at this point, I was kind of starting to get disappointed of these meals, and well, this one I didn't have high expectations for, because it looked like, well, it just looked liquidy and sloppy, and I probably should have got a spoon. I didn't realize it was gonna be this liquidy, so I used a fork, but I probably should have got a spoon when I was trying to eat this. And I know I'm supposed to put the zucchini noodles in there and mix them together, but I didn't do that right away because I want to taste them separately. So I tasted the ragu, and then I tasted the zucchini noodles separately, and they were okay. And then I mixed it together and I tasted it, and it tasted all right. It wasn't that bad. In fact, I would say this is the most average meal of them all, which means I give this meal a 5 out of 10. And then I decided to have this second snack with that meal. So, well, not exactly with the meal, but later in the same day. And that is the cocoa truffle bar, or coconut fudge cocoa truffle bar. And it's dairy free with no refined sugar. And I didn't read fudge on it when I picked the bar, so I missed that part. I probably wouldn't have picked it if I realized it said fudge, because I don't really like fudge. So of course I'm gonna be biased on this one too, so take this with a grain of sugar. And so of course my opinion on this bar is it's better than the peanut butter cup bars, actually, or the peanut butter bites, but I still would never eat this again. But that's just, that's just a me thing. I mean, I just happen to not like brownies or fudge, so neither of them were that great to me. I also realized that I'm probably sounding really negative during this video. I don't mean to, but it's just kind of happening. The fourth meal on the fourth day that I ate was the sour cream and chive chicken with Yukon mash and garlic broccoli. And pretty much the rest of the meals seem to have broccoli in them. I just got to mention that too. But this meal looked kind of good before even warming it up. Like, still in the container, no warm up or anything. it kind of looked good. So it might be the only meal to achieve that. So as always, I popped some holes in it and put it in the microwave for a few minutes. Once I took it out of the microwave, it smelt pretty good, and so I had some high hopes for I don't know about high hopes, but I had some expectations that this was probably going to taste good. And when I took a bite, well, I wasn't wrong. It did taste pretty good. I mean, the broccoli even was all right, but I mean, it's broccoli, so it's as good as it can get. But the chicken and the Yukon mash and the sour cream and the chives all mixed together was just really good. I mean, they could have just cut the broccoli out of there. I wouldn't even cared because the chicken and the mash was all I needed. Of course, I did eat the broccoli because it was there, but you know, you could have cut the broccoli out. So I give this meal a 8 out of 10. It was actually one of the better meals of the 8 meals that I received for Factor. And if I was to do Factor again and I was able to choose this meal again, I probably would pick it. Now, the next meal that I had, the 5th meal, was honey mustard chicken with roasted rosemary potatoes and garlic green beans. Try saying that 10 times fast. Now, this one was a little bit different because it had a sauce container in it, which was, of course, the honey mustard. So I had to remove the honey mustard and pour it all over the chicken before cooking it. Well, again, it's not cooking, it's just heating it up, but I'll probably just keep saying cooking, even though it's not cooking it. So once I got it out of the microwave, it looked good, it smelt good, but I had one issue, and that's when I went to taste it. Well, actually, it tasted pretty good. The potatoes tasted good, the chicken tasted all right, and the green beans are green beans, so I'm not going to comment anymore on those. But the issue was the chicken was kind of dry, just a little bit, and that might have been my fault. I mean, I'm not blameless. I might have somehow made the chicken dry, even though I was just following instructions. But I cooked the previous chicken and it was moist and tender, but this chicken was just kind of dry. So other than the chicken being slightly dry, it really wasn't that bad. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this meal a 7 out of 10. It probably, maybe, could have gotten an 8 if the chicken just wasn't a little dry. And the 6th meal was chef crafted, dietitian approved. No, wait. Never mind. This box just didn't have the name of the meal on it for some reason. I think 2 boxes came like that. I'm not sure why. Because for some reason, this box made you look on the side to see what it was instead of on the front. And I almost forgot to mention what this is, but it's loaded mashed potatoes with shredded chicken. Either way, you know the drill at this point. Popped some holes in it and popped it in the microwave. I gotta be honest, this one looked pretty bad. It didn't look very good at all, but I don't know how you make shredded chicken and loaded mashed potatoes look good. But this wasn't it. This did not look good at all. It kind of looked like vomit, if we're being honest. But, you know, they say you can't judge food until you taste it. So let's give it a taste. So I gave it a good old taste. And I gotta say, it was exactly how I thought it would taste. And it didn't really taste that good. I'm gonna be honest here. I didn't really like it. It was kind of just, it was just kind of bland and dry, to be honest. I mean, that's just how I felt about it. It was honestly, it was probably one of the worst meals in this entire list. I think I said that already at one of them, but this one was, it was not that, like, it didn't taste terrible. It wasn't like, oh, that tastes disgusting. It was just like, where is the taste? So I'd probably give this meal a 2 out of 10. I would never, if I got Factor again, I would never pick this meal. No matter what, I would never pick this again. This is another one of them where I had to look on the side to see what it was because for some reason it didn't put its name of what it was on the front once again. But this is the jalapeno sweet corn polenta and chicken with roasted peppers and cauliflower and some butter. Now I gotta be honest, this is the one that I was most worried about because I never had polenta, so I wasn't sure what that would be like, but also it sounded good, but it sounded like I'm not sure I would like it at the same time, but I had to get it just because I had to try something new. So as always, I cut some holes and I popped it in the microwave, and then halfway through I had to stir this one, and it did say stir everything. So I was kind of wondering how I was supposed to stir the chicken, but I did it anyway, and then I put it back in the microwave to finish it. And once it finished warming up, I looked at it and I smelled it, and I wasn't quite sure if it smelled good or if it smelled bad. It was kind of like in between. It was like it kind of smelled good, but it kind of smelled bad at the same time. But either way, I dived in for a bite, and I gotta say, this meal surprised me the most because I was the most unsure about this meal. It was something new. I've never had polenta before, I'll tell you that once again. But also, I mixed everything together and I just started eating it. And this is probably the best meal that I got with Factor. I mean, it was really good. It also made these noises while I was trying to stir it. But this meal was just, it was actually really good, and I give this meal a 9 out of 10. I mean, I don't know exactly what would get this meal a 10 out of 10, maybe more. Maybe if I got a little bit more in the meal, maybe that would give it a 10 out of 10. But as far as Factor meals go that I have tasted and ate, this is the best one that I have eaten, and it gets a 9 out of 10. The next meal is Cavatappi meatballs with marinara sauce and garlic broccoli, and I know I most likely mispronounced that, and I just don't care. As always, I cut some holes in it, plopped it in the microwave, and waited a few minutes. Once it was done, it smelled alright, but I went to taste it, and I gotta be honest here, this meal tasted like the most frozen meal out of all of them. And none of these meals are frozen, they're just refrigerated, never frozen. But this meal tasted like it was a frozen meal. It tasted exactly like if I were to buy a frozen meal that's this same kind of meal, spaghetti and meatballs, if you want to say that. And well, not spaghetti, but noodles, meatballs, and some marinara sauce. If you went and bought the frozen version of this, it would taste almost exactly the same, in my opinion. It tasted the most like a frozen meal out of all these meals. But of course, it wasn't the worst tasting meal out of the bunch of these. Of course, that like loaded mash one, I think was the worst one out of all of them. But this one, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. The meatballs were kind of dry also, in my opinion. So that's just something. Now, this meal is kind of what I expected from Factors, something similar to this. But there were some meals that were good and bad, and this one just happens to be in the middle, I think. It's just kind of like your average, standard, ready-to-eat meal, in my opinion. And I would give it a 5 out of 10. And it's kind of crazy to me that Factor, it's not like, oh, I just don't like this or anything, but it's like, it's kind of the quality of meals. It's like some are pretty good, some are okay, and then some are just bad. So now it's conclusion time, and to answer that question, is it even worth getting Factor? And well, I guess that depends on the person. If you want some quick, ready to eat meals that are decent, I think you could get that with Factor, and you definitely have to be careful of which meals you pick. You would have to pick something that you like and make sure that there is stuff that you like, and also you might pick something and you might just not like it. But there are definitely some good meals to eat in Factor, and also it's just really convenient to have ready to eat meals in the fridge that take like 2 to 3 minutes to warm up. The ones that took the longest were like 5 minutes, but still, that's not a long time. You get hungry, you go in there, you warm it up, and you got a meal ready to eat very quickly. And I'm not doing any price comparisons or anything like that, but if you want to just know the price, it's around like If you want to go average, it's around like $11 to $13 per meal, but it also depends on how long your subscription is and how many meals that you get. Like if you get just like I did, where you get like 8 meals for a week, just 1 meal per day, then you can expect to pay around $13 a meal. Now, would I recommend Factor? I'm not really sure. Maybe if you like convenience, maybe that would be a good reason. But Factor to me was kind of a mixed bag. It had meals that I liked and had meals that I really didn't like. But also, I can't compare it to other services like HelloFresh and stuff like that because I haven't used those yet. I've only used Factor. So maybe in the future, I'll use another one and compare it to Factor. But right now, I'll just say Factor was a mixed bag. But either way, that's going to be it for this video, so hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment below, tell me what you think of Factor and this video. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because you want to be subscribed, and I will see you next time.